All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit different with Green Dolphin Street. We're going to start actually with the improvisation. So let's get right into first analyzing the chords of the song. I would always suggest before you start a process of trying to work through improvisation, you got to analyze what you have first of all. So we're in the key of C. It's also common to play the song in the key of E flat as well, so that's good to know. So what I have here is just some simple chord shows. Even if you're an advanced player, start with these simple chord shows. If you want, if you want to add the third in there, you can do that, okay? But the reason the chord shows are really good is this allows you a lot of freedom when you're creating your lines and working through scales to really just hear the main harmony down there. When I say that, like the main harmony, I'm talking like the third and the seventh and the root, you know, just to like be able to get down that basic harmony in the left hand. If it's just the root and the seventh, that's okay too. You might say, well, how's a C major 7 chord if there's no third in there? Remember that when we're doing these chord shows, there's a lot of ambiguity. So really that chord symbol C major 7 isn't about what is written for the left hand to play. You're really thinking about it globally, like, all right, so what scale is it? What's the tonality, all right? Okay, so it starts with C major 7. This would be our 1 major 7 chord. Then we go to a 1 minor 7 chord. So it goes from a major to a minor sound. So on the 1 major 7 chord, I would just use that C major scale. Right, I'll go through the scales and give you some different options there for you. C major scale. On the C minor 7 chord, I would just probably either use the Dorian scale, I like that one, or I might also use my natural minor scale. It's really up to you as to how much, if you put in that A flat, it's going to add a little bit more tension to it. Okay, whereas Dorian is going to sound more modal, whereas the Aeolian scale, okay, it's going to sound more, I don't know, natural minor. That's how I think about it. I think like if I want to like keep it closer to the key, you know, make it a little bit more modal of a sound, like major to minor like that, then I'll just go from the Ionian or major scale to the Dorian scale. All right, now the D7 over C, forget about the over C. Just think of it, I just think of it as D7. Because if I'm playing solo, I'm just going to do D7 to D flat 7 to C. I don't do D7 over C and then D flat 7 over C. You know, I just go from D flat, I just go from C to C minor to D flat back to C, all right? So bass players actually a lot of times go up to the D as well, right? I have found. So D7, on the D7 chord, well, first of all, how would we analyze that? Now, this could be analyzed in a couple of different ways. You can think of it as your 2-7 chord, in which it would be like a dominant chord that would take us to the 5 chord, but it's kind of deceptive here. Or is it? I'll get to that in a second. So I think of it as a 5-7, normally C major to C minor, D7 to G, then back to C, but it doesn't go to G, and we'll talk about that in a second. So let's just call it a 5 of 5 chord. If you don't fully understand that analysis, don't worry about it, or check out the analysis and memorization lesson. Get some more information on 5 of 5. All right, so on this chord, what I would probably do is, you could do a couple of different scales. One scale is do that whole tone scale. So D, E. See how it's all whole steps? This is nice because you can do these cool you do some cool patterns on this using that whole tone scale. The other scale that you can utilize is your altered scale, which is go up a half step, make a major scale, and then flat the third. That makes it melodic minor, right? And then start on the note that you need to start on, which in this case is D. So basically, it's a D altered scale, which means that it's an E flat melodic minor scale starting on D. And I'm just going to change that virtual keyboard right now so that it's all flats. Remember, I make it all flats so that it doesn't move back and forth between sharps and flats all the time. Don't think that the virtual keyboard, those notes, it's not telling you harmonically what, should it be a sharp or a flat. Now the D flat 7 chord, well, what is D flat 7? D flat 7, if I look at G, D flat 7 is the tritone of G. That means that D flat 7 is a tritone substitution. So rather than playing a G7 chord, I can play the D flat 7 chord. So remember how I said that D7 is kind of deceptive, it's not resolving to the 5 chord? Well, actually it does in a way. It resolves to the tritone substitution of that 5-7 chord, which is D flat 7. Now here on the D flat 7, again, I like that altered scale, especially since that's a nice, easy scale on that D flat 7. Sorry, let me get, there we go. It's all those notes, okay? And you also see how it gets very close to that C major scale, okay? It's basically a C major scale just with D flats in there. That's nice because where are we going back to? We're going back to C major, so we kind of set up that C major sound. Another scale you could use, this is your half, whole, diminished scale. Half, whole, half, whole, half, whole, half, whole. Willie, when do I use the half whole or when do I use the altered? To be quite honest with you, you could use that half whole or altered scale on a dominant 7th chord. So it's really up to you as to which one you want to use. I'll find myself using both. Okay? So this is an example of using both scales. They have a little bit of a different sound to them. Don't forget, you could also use that half whole on that D7 as well. There's your half, whole, half, whole, half, whole. Sorry. Fingering is kind of funny on that half-whole scale. The half-whole diminished scale, okay, and then some people call it, what is it? They call it the altered dominant scale. I think that's what they say. Yeah, because if you think about it, yeah, they call it the altered dominant scale because the first part of the scale is like an altered scale, but the second part of the scale is like a mixolydian scale. I'm sure somebody also probably calls it an altered mixolydian scale. I know it as a half-whole diminished scale, okay, so. Okay. But anyway, the fingering is a lot of times a lot of 1, 2, and then maybe 3, usually not 4 and 5. Like a major scale, you're going to bring in 4 and 5 in there. On these scales, see how I never use my 4th finger and my 5th finger? So it's a lot of 2, then 1, 2, 3, cross, 1, 2, 3, cross, 1, 2. It's also starting on 2 a lot of times. So basically, when you're trying to figure out those fingerings for the whole tone scale or the altered dominant half-whole diminished scale, remember that you're probably going to start on your 2nd finger, okay? Maybe your thumb, but a lot of times, like if I was doing it on D, I'd be starting on my thumb, okay? And you're usually not going to use that 4th finger except, why did I use it here? Because I got to the end. But if I was going to keep going, I just go to my thumb again. There I get to my 4th finger. But in the meat of the scale and the bulk of the scale, when you're playing through the scale, you're usually not going to use that 4th finger or 5th finger. Usually. I'm not saying ever, but usually. Okay, so that's getting up to the D flat 7. When I come back, we will finish out the rest of the first ending.